Yo, this your boy Mr. 6_foot_5. I tried to tell you people this shit is far from over, and you people better start listening. Now, this bitch-made boy Bill Gates recently did an interview to The Economist that is particularly owned by the Rothschilds. And in this interview, Bill Gates was asked how he views the U.S. handle response to the outbreak. And his reply was, aside from the U.S. high-risk money that the U.S. has ponied up for the vaccine research and development, he thinks that the U.S. is doing a poor job overall. And he directly blamed the poor response on lack of preparations, but also freedom, my people. Yes, everyone, Bill Gates blamed our freedom for the spread of the virus.
Now let's turn to the US, because it's the country, it's the world's biggest economy, it's the preeminent public health country in the world, it's got the world's best epidemiologists. I mean, why has it done so badly?
Well, we believe in freedom, individual freedom. We optimize for individual rights.
Now, Bill Gates' bitch ass went on to praise China and their authoritarian response. And he said despite that people's rights were violated, that China's response was amazing.
What about China, about which there's obviously a lot of debate? Should we blame China for, not being fessing up early enough, or should we praise them for the degree to which they got it under control internally?
Well, the country that's where a new virus shows up first has the toughest job, because they have no warning at all. And so it's likely to get out in fairly big numbers. They clearly made mistakes. There were warning signs, people talking about it. They didn't go after it in those, the month of December and even parts of January. In retrospect, they could have rung the alarm bell more loudly than they did. After that, although in their typical fairly authoritarian way, they did a very good job of suppressing the virus. There may have been a lot of individual rights that were violated there, but the overall macro effect that they achieved is kind of amazing.
Now, my people, this is right out of 2010 Rockefeller lockstep document. Let me say this again. This is from 2010. Rockefeller lockstep document, a world of tighter top-down government control and more authoritarian leadership with limited innovation and growing citizens' pushback. The United States' initial policy, strongly discouraging citizens from flying, proves deadly and its leniency accelerating the spread of the virus, not just within the U.S., but across its borders. However, a few countries did better, China in particular. Chinese government quick imposition and enforcement of mandatory quarantine for all citizens, as well as instant and near hermetic sealing off all the borders, saved millions of lives, stopping the spread of the virus earlier than other countries and enabling swifter post-pandemic recovery. China government was not the only one that took extreme measures to protect its citizens from risk and exposure. During the pandemic, national leaders across the world flexed their authority and imposed airtight rules and restrictions for mandatory wearing of face masks to body temperature checks, entries to communal spaces like train stations and supermarkets. Even after the pandemic has faded, my people, this more authoritarian control of oversight of citizens and their activities stuck and even intensified. At the first notion of more controlled world, gain wide acceptance with approval, citizens willingly giving up some of their sovereignty and their privacy to more paternalistic states in exchange of greater safety and stability. Citizens were more tolerant, even eager for top-down direction and oversight, and national leaders had more latitude to impose order in ways that they saw fit. In developed countries, this heightened oversight took many forms, including biometric IDs for all citizens. Now, once again, everyone, this is a Rockefeller lockstep document from the year 2010, 10 years ago. And it seemed like these sustainable goals are actually playing out right now today as we speak, 10 years later. Now, my people, this is right down towards the biometric IDs that are being rolled out right now as we speak. Also, recently, Australia's Prime Minister stated that the coming of the COVID vaccine would be mandatory for every Australian except for those who have medical exemptions, and good luck with getting those. Now, everyone, I need you all to understand this right here. This is not good. This has been their plan all along, and Australia seems to be the testing ground for this approach. And fortunately, this announcement was rejected by the people to give forced vaccination. And the resistance by the people was so strong, Prime Minister quickly walked back his statements and said the vaccine would not be mandatory, but strongly encouraged people to get vaccinated.
Australia's Prime Minister has backed away from a suggestion that a coronavirus vaccine should be mandatory. After a backlash, Scott Morrison now says people will be encouraged to get themselves vaccinated. He says there will also be measures put in place to secure a high rate of immunisation. Australia has secured a vaccine deal that it plans to roll out cost-free to citizens.
And when they say strongly encouraging my people, I need you all to understand they're essentially telling you that you are going to be blackmailed and held for ransom, preventing you from going to the stores, flying out of town, going to work, basically cutting you off from society. Everything that you do in society would be reduced. Because this is nothing more than a negotiation process. Because them bitches start off in here and say the vaccines are mandatory, and the people are right here saying, oh, no, we're not okay with that. But then they start restricting the things that you can do, reducing you from being out in society. And then the people are going to be okay and be like, well, oh, okay, well, we'll take the vaccine. Now, this is straight malarkey, my people, and the Prime Minister has came out and said that we can't hold people down and force them to get vaccinated. However, parents can lose access to the government payment like family tax benefits and childcare if their children do not meet the immunization requirement.
So we will be seeking its most widespread application, as we do with all important vaccines. But Paul, you may want to talk about how those practices are followed, and we'll be doing that, of course, in partnership with states and territories.
Thank you, PM. So, of course, the first will be a voluntary call for people, and I'm sure there will be long queues, socially distanced, of course, for this vaccine. It will be incredibly welcomed by many. It will be the absolute ticket to get back to some sort of normal society and the things that we all love and enjoy. So I think there will be a very strong take-up of this vaccine. Of course, there will be some that, for medical reasons, as the PM has said, may not be able to take the vaccine. But there'll be very strong campaigns to encourage people, and we've had experience before of linking vaccination with other programs, and all of those things will be looked at over time. But
now, I am infinity% sure there are going to be other forms of punishment for Australians and other people around the world who refuses to get vaccinated. Now, Australia also granted itself to remove children from their families under the COVID-19 Emergency Response Act to ensure compliance with the emergency protocols. Businesses in Australia are also looking to enforce no jab, no job. So if you don't take the shot, you won't have an income. You can't support your family. You can't pay your bills. You can't keep a roof over your head. You can't put food on your table. Do you people see where this shit is going? Now here in the United States, the CDC promoted training material on their website saying that children may be removed from their parents in quarantine situation. It's basically the same thing they're rolling out in Australia. Now, right now in America, we are seeing new vaccines being mandated for students all across the country. Even those who don't even attend school in person, but attend classes online. If your child misses classes online, teachers have been reporting parents to the police. Now, we are all seeing this shit globally to accept COVID-19 and to roll up our sleeve. We are seeing more and more rhetoric that the states have the authority to jail you, where to impose fines on you if you refuse to take the vaccine, in addition, restricting your ability to having a job, going to sporting events, restaurants, going to the store to buy food, to receive government assistance, to go to work, to go to school, travel, you name it. They are going to hold this against you. They are trying to force you to willingly submit. This is blackmail, my people, aka the beginning of the mark of the beast. This is tyranny, my people, and it's being justified by this manufactured crisis. For generations, this system has been designed getting people more and more dependent upon the new system of control. And now they intend to use this as leverage to force people to accept anything that the social engineers want. Now, everyone, I want you all to peep game. Back in March, this so-called pandemic started with a 2-week lockdown to so-called flatten the curve. Now, my people, here we are 6 months later with no end in sight, and they're already getting ready to roll out the digital IDs, which will include your medical records, your financial records, your payments, your credit score. Every aspect of your life essentially will be included in this biometric digital ID, vaccine, everything, my people. They are going to want your compliance. That way you can work, travel, buy, sell, participate in society, even on a basic level. And we are seeing this take place right now in Africa, for an example. The Gates Foundation and Gavi, the Global Vaccine Alliance, which got its seeds money from the Gates Foundation, is partnering with MasterCard, and they are rolling out the trust stamp combining a vaccine and digital biometric ID. This shit goes right back to the ID 2020 program I've been telling you people about. Also the ID 4D and the United Nations and the Gates Foundation. This is a major operation of sustainable goals, my people, that I have been talking about in many of my videos. Now in Michigan, the college would digitally track students' locations and medical records at all times to ensure compliance. Now, this isn't about a fucking virus, my people. This shit is all about control. Now, in New York, right now, they are setting up checkpoints, and they have several mandatory vaccine-related bills in session right now. Also, in the state of Arizona, the emergency order includes forced vaccination, forced quarantine, and also mandatory vaccination. All this will be enforced by their governor. And like that bitch-made boy Bill Gates has previously said, you don't get a choice.
But you don't have a choice. People act like you have a choice. People don't feel like going to the stadium when they might get infected. You know, it's not the government who's saying, okay, just ignore this disease. And, you know, people are deeply affected by seeing these deaths, by knowing they could be part of the transmission chain. And, you know, old people, their parents, their grandparents could be affected by this. And so you don't get to say, ignore what's going on here. There will be the ability, particularly in rich countries, to open up if things are done well over the next few months. But for the world at large, normalcy only returns when we've largely vaccinated the entire global population.
And there's politicians like Rob Ciccone, who is a federal Labor senator in Victoria, Australia, stating to anti-vaxxers, I have one message: our tolerance for your willful ignorance is over. We cannot afford morally or economically to give up any grounds to these who choose not to be vaccinated against COVID-19. Look, my people, many of you people may be looking forward for this COVID-19 vaccine, and that's fine. That's your choice, or at least it should be. But for people such as myself and others who may have concerns, because you got to understand, this is the most rushed in production vaccine in history. Stop bitching and crying to the government, asking them to enforce everybody to get vaccinated, because use logical sense. If you get vaccine, doesn't the vaccine supposed to prevent you from people who don't get vaccine or people who do have the virus? Use logical sense. Now, my question for everyone, will you submit to take a vaccination that's the most rushed in production vaccine in history? So your kids can go to school, so you can go to work, so you can go and buy groceries, so you can travel, and etc. Will you submit? Are you willing to face potential fines and jail time? And if they do throw you in jail, who knows? They may strap you down and force you to take the vaccine. Who knows? Will you refuse this? I know where I stand on this. Fuck they vaccine. Bill Gates has already said that people need to be vaccinated multiple times. This is not going to be just a one-time thing, my people. If you submit to these people, they are never going to end. And who knows what will be next. For an example, our records indicate that you didn't get your third booster shot this month. So your payments have been suspended until you update your vaccine records. Just imagine how far they can go with this shit to a virus that has a 99% survival rate. So these games that they are playing, y'all know I'm not buying it, and I'm not taking that shit. Personally, I have zero doubts in my mind that this virus is manufactured and ushered in for a new system of control, the likes of which will not only enslave humanity, but will fundamentally change what it means to be human. My advice to you people, resist this COVID-19 bullshit like your life depends on it. Because I know I stand on all of this. For all of you who don't know who I am, my Instagram is Mr.6_foot_5. My YouTube is LaPrada Smith. All praises to the Most High Yahweh Bahawashim, Yahweh Shah, Shalawah, Shalawah, Shalom, my people.